Good afternoon. It is January the 20th, 2012, about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. A bright sunny day here in Manitoba, about minus 25 I would say. At nighttime it's getting down to about minus 32, something like that. So very cold weather right now. Type of weather your car, takes a while to heat up. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today was kind of movies that I discovered a couple of years ago. And how I discovered it was that I was very unwell and I had to stay home, literally sleeping on the floor of the living room because I could hardly move. And I ended up watching a program, the last half of a program on CBC called Happy Times. And I did research the next day, or a couple of days afterwards. I wrote down the title, did research because I wanted to see the first half of it because I was so surprised by it. And this is what it looks like, the actual DVD. Now this is probably different in other parts of the world, and it's made by a fellow called, let me get his name there, Zhang Yimou, or Yang Yimou, depends how you pronounce it. I'm very English, so I'm not very good at pronouncing. Happy Times. It's his only comedy this fellow's ever made. And it starts out as a comedy, and at the time we were watching it going, I don't like these people, it looks like a horrible life, I don't care for the culture, etc., etc. And it all of a sudden changes, increasingly after about the first 20 minutes. So you have to get by the first 20 minutes, which is a comedy and gags, but with this director. He uses the beginnings of his movies, about 20 minutes or so, to set you up. You're being actually set up, and you just don't know it, because he's got to start a story that's going to catch you off guard. And that's what he does here. You're about 20 minutes into it, and it still is comedy, extremely hilarious moments, but it's mostly a drama. And it's movies out of China. And what you have to understand, China has censorship. More so before, I think it started changing about 2005 or so, but before that, extremely strong censorship. So this fellow was brought up in the Cultural Revolution, and so there's a bunch of stories you can tell about society and the impact of that and how things changed and capitalism coming in. They can't blatantly talk about those things, but his movies sort of have an undertone of all that. You sense great respect for teaching, great respect for, different things. Great respect for the culture, which I think is reflected in often his movies, the peasant, the farmer population, which is a little bit slower to change than the rest of it. So I recommend you get this one here. Now on the director, he was brought up, his father was, what was it called? It was the people, the side of the government there that lost to the communists. I think they were called the Liberation Army, I'm not sure, I have to go back, I should know this. But his father's a member maybe of that party. His mother was a teacher, and again, the communists weren't very supportive of teaching, because of course with communism you tend to rewrite history. You have to rewrite history, don't people, get rid of religion, the government is religion, we are everything, and they rewrite history. So he did not do well. He was pulled out of school, put to basically hard labor for 10 years in the farming community. And after the Cultural Revolution in China toned down and began to disappear, he was allowed to go back to school, a very old student, I think the oldest student they ever had, and he took filming and things like that. He became a director, a cinematographer actually originally, and then a director. He did some acting, badly broke a leg during one of the movies, so that pretty much ended his acting, but he went into directing, and because he was a cinematographer, very good visual eye. His movies have spectacular colors in them, just amazing colors. Not so much this movie. This is more a straight run, city-based movie, kind of different than the rest of his. But that's what came out of it. Also a lot of, as I said, sort of messages below the surface. He also, for one of his movies, I'll tell you later, was under house arrest basically for a couple of years because of the comment on the Cultural Revolution that was in it. Anyway, This movie, research of this movie, led me to this movie. This is a great introduction to any of his work. It's spectacularly beautiful. It has Zhang Yimou. She's the beautiful actress that was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And the story of this movie, it's a really interesting story. I probably don't have time to get into it here. But after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon became a huge hit, and she became hugely successful, Sony Pictures researched her and found out that she'd done this movie. And this movie is basically a lost movie, so they grabbed it and released it to DVD. Extremely excellent movie. Again, you have to get past the first 20 minutes, and it's in black and white. It starts out for the first 20 minutes in black and white, and you have to get by that. But what he's doing is he's setting up the story, so you have to watch it and get by that, and he's setting you up for a very wonderful story. So highly recommend. This is an excellent introductory to his work, I would say, about the strong, like peasant girl, and this curtain here. If you look at it, this is kind of black and white here. And it's kind of the black and white is the shroud of time, so it's pulling back time to tell a story about the past. Interesting. Highly recommend that one. The reviews for this, if you look online, everyone just adores this movie, and again, it's a very excellent movie. Great introduction to his work because of that. Not a lot of talking in it. And so I would say that's a good one to start with. And again, Happy Times, I loved Happy Times. The story is such a powerful story, and the acting's so good, and again, the peasant girl being very strong, etc. So anyway, recommend that one. Now, to get the stuff in order here, I'll tell you about To Live. There's two movies here. This one was filmed, To Live is one movie, Not One Less another. Not One Less, I'm only going to mention it because it was filmed at the same time, right afterwards, back to back with The Road Home. It's a very good movie. Let's go to this one first. It's a very good movie because he uses like a simulated documentary style. He went through hours and hours of footage. He actually had to cut the film, and you know how in the old days you used to flip film upside down? You'd have a film on half it, flip it upside down, film again. That's what he did. It's filmed in 32 millimeters, so 16 millimeters, I believe is how it went. He used the film twice because the footage was so huge. The girl is actually a peasant girl. First time, the main actress, first time she's acted, first time she's done any sort of thing like that. They literally grabbed her from a village. First time she ever left her village was when she did this movie. So it's a very good movie. Acting not great, but it is that documentary style. The people are playing themselves in it often, or sort of themselves. They use their real name, often their real occupation. The girl, and there's a boy in it as well, they use their real names in it because, again, they know acting experience. So they thought if we use their real names, it'll help them save them a step in acting or learning to act. The next movie I'm going to talk about is To Live. And this goes back, those other movies were 2000. This goes back to the 90s. In the 90s, and this director was known for discovering actresses and kind of training them, and they became hugely successful. Gong Li. She was in every one of his movies until The Road Home, I believe. And she's a spectacular, strong actress. She was in, what was the movie? Memoirs of a Geisha. She was in that, and so was this girl here, Zhang Yimou, was in it. Spectacular actress. To Live, I'll mention it now because it's tied so strongly to the history of the director. Extremely great storytelling. It's kind of like the Gone with the Wind of China. It tells about how the communists came in and going through about 40 years of history, but it tells it through the eyes of this family. Very, very emotional movie. He does an excellent job, the director. This movie was not allowed to be released. And at the Cannes Festival, where all his movies seem to go, Cannes Festival, they showed it, but the Chinese government had said don't show it. So he was supposed to be there, the director. He didn't arrive. They said it was because he was didn't want the publicity. But in reality, the Chinese government probably stopped him at the airport and said, you're not going to go publicize this movie because it's critical of us in some manner. Again, if you watch the movie, you can figure out why. You might think they might stop it, but it ended up with him and this actress here being banned for originally 5 years, reduced to 2, from making movies or talking about this movie or doing anything in regard to movies. It was reduced to 2.5 years, and it's interesting that he was such a sort of an outcast through his life with the Chinese government, but he had a wonderful way of presenting what China, I'm not sure, I guess it would be what China's like or would like to be seen as. So when he was asked to do the Olympics, it was kind of an interesting turn of events, right? This huge outcast being chosen as the person to paint China for the world. So this movie, if you want to know Chinese history from about 1940 to, I'm guessing, the 70s, might be even in the, or it might be in the 80s even. Wonderful picture, just a wonderful picture, a wonderful cast, and again, have some Kleenex. Now let's see, which ones I want to show you here. There's a sequence. This movie here, and I haven't watched this one. This is his most famous movie. And I'm almost scared to watch it, because I'm thinking it's got to be sad or something. So I'm almost scared to watch it again. Gong Li, again, the actress. This one here, again, was banned by the Chinese government. Got him in huge trouble again. He wasn't put under house arrest or anything, but it got him in huge trouble. You know, I think they pulled in for questioning, and I think after To Live, he got a little bit milder, and I think it was he couldn't take that again, going through that. Yeah, I think it's probably just a terrifying process when the government calls you in, you know, you're isolated or whatever. So anyway, this movie, internationally acclaimed movie. I've not watched it. I should. It's the only one I haven't watched, and it's because it's kind of, I'm almost scared to watch it. The two that everyone will know of his are Hero. I'll show it this way so you can see what it is. Hero. Again, there's that girl again. Zhang Yimou. And I should know his name. Jet Li. Jet Li. I haven't watched the movie for a long time, so Jet Li. It's related to this movie. They were basically a pair of movies. Hero paid for House of Flying Daggers. I think the Chinese title is Ambushed in 10 Directions. Again, there she is again. And these were basically a copy of, or similar to, I don't think they appreciate me saying copy of, but they're similar to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Kung Fu movies, lots of people flying in the air doing incredibly awesome things. Hero is noteworthy because it's so interestingly filmed. He films it in 4 different colors. Green, now again, your interpretation, this has got to be my interpretation, green for memory. Red is, I guess you call it passion, whatever, passion. I think we'd call it passion. You know, the blue would be honor, things like that. It's kind of the honor version of the story. And beige, it was supposed to be white, but they couldn't film. It was in the desert, too hot to film, so it was beige. It's kind of reality. And what's really neat is he tells the story through different people's eyes. So there's kind of like 4 versions of the story, and really interesting. So the first part of the movie is all red. Everyone's wearing red. Then it goes to blue. Everyone's wearing blue. It's very sad, that version of it. Then of course the beige, which is kind of, again, the honor and respect and truth maybe. And green is used here and there as flashbacks to the past. So very interestingly done. Beautiful picture. You don't care so much for the characters in this one here, but spectacularly done. And her character is again, she's very watchable. And again, red, she comes out there and the way the expressions and the characters change in each version. So the first one, they're very, you know, the looks they give, she gives a very scary kind of look early on, you know, looking under her eyes or whatever, and again, it changes to a very, you know, the beauty of the face and all this changes, and spectacular scenes with leaves. with a huge, beautiful scene with leaves. A lake where they're flying in the air and going into the lake, and they shoot in the lake looking up. And the leaf scene is absolutely spectacular. I don't know how they, beautiful, spectacular scenes to watch. House of Flying Daggers. Of these two, most people, for entertainment value, prefer this one here. The story is different. It's more like a love story, so people tend to love this one better. But again, here's probably the one that's more interesting film-wise. This one here, like it too. Again, spectacular scenes, visuals, etc. There's a scene in here where it's this just sort of the changes to snow, and what happened is they had unseasonal early snowfall, so he had to either delay filming, and he thought that wouldn't work because winter was coming, or come back the following year and film, and they'd already, because of the... And that's about it. So just an introduction to that. I hope I didn't bore you or anything. I hope this is kind of interesting and that you'll see some of these movies. And that is it.